Welcome to another episode of Israeli Frenemies. We get the right and left together to bash out the central issues of the week. Zaki, always great to be back again in the studio with you.
I always miss you. The whole week I miss you.
Looking forward to this show. So let's get right to the issues at hand.
So this week has been a tough week for Prime Minister Netanyahu. The submarines deal with Germany, where we just saw after several investigations, the investigation by the police on potential bribe involved in this multi-million dollars arms deal. You have now arrests. First of all, you have for the first time an arrest of former Israeli admiral, the former chief of the Navy, of the Israeli Navy, Chinese. We see him right now. And more interesting and more concerning with regard to Benjamin Netanyahu, his number one, his most trusted counsel, his cousin, his lawyer, David Shimron, was also investigated. He's not allowed to talk to Mr. Netanyahu, meaning that at least there is a suspicion that Netanyahu is somehow involved. At this point, we don't know whether it's going to evolve into an actual indictment. And in a parallel investigation now by the Israeli, the stock
holders,
stock authority, the stock market authority, his director general. Netanyahu was the Minister of Communications as well, and his Director General, and again, a very close ally of his, is also in a house arrest right now due to potential involvement in some deals with Israel's biggest telecommunications company.
Right, so
As a whole, Netanyahu is in trouble. That's how I see it.
So, we have to separate the two issues. If there's something wrong here, the courts will find it, and whoever has to go to jail will go to jail. But what bothers me, and I want you to let me finish this for 1 second, is this is, in my opinion, the left wing trying to take down Netanyahu without, and I'll tell you 1 second, the police came out with a clear statement.
The police is the left?
Wait, 1 second. The police came out with a clear statement. This investigation has nothing to do with Netanyahu, zero. The police came with a statement. Everybody's involved. 100%. In fact, it's right here.
From when?
While police have repeatedly said Netanyahu is not a suspect.
He's not a suspect at this point.
At all. He's not.
David Shimron is.
That's true, but it has nothing to do with Netanyahu at this point.
At this point.
And the funny thing is that Lapid, who was the Minister of Finance at the time, is pointing a finger, because after he says this, I'm not really pointing a finger at Netanyahu. He was the Minister of Finance. Where's the money?
No, but this doesn't have to do with the Minister of Finance.
But the police made it very clear that this has nothing to do with Netanyahu. So your opening statement of Netanyahu's in trouble, no, he's not.
Hold on. He's definitely in trouble.
No, he's not.
His closest,
he's not even a suspect.
His closest people, right, but his closest, at this point, his closest people are either on house arrest or criminally investigated.
Okay.
On two other investigations where he is a suspect, there is
so you
progress.
So
he has now four. No, I'm not saying. I'm saying that Netanyahu right now is heavily involved in four criminal investigations.
No, he's not.
And it doesn't have to do anything with the left.
There are facts. He's not involved. He's not involved. He's not a suspect.
He's a suspect in two investigations.
He is not a suspect in this case at all.
Okay, so two of his most closest people are suspects here.
Okay.
Plus, he himself is a suspect in two different investigations.
We're talking about the
no, I'm talking about the whole.
No.
Don't play ostrich. If you say, bury your head in the ground and ignore reality.
You said he's in trouble because of submarines. He's not in trouble. He's not even a suspect.
David Shimron, he's his closest person on earth.
But that doesn't mean that Netanyahu's a suspect or involved.
Look, if you're closest person and you are the prime minister and you sack Moshe
Welcome back to Israeli Frenemies. We are talking now about the electricity situation in the Gaza Strip that is being ruled by Hamas. Gaza is the people in Gaza right now on a $2 billion debt to Israel over the electricity. They have not paid their bills ever. And the Ashraf, the PLO or the PA, has actually requested from Israel to stop giving money to Gaza because they don't want to pay, stop giving electricity because the PA doesn't want to pay for the electricity in Gaza. And of course, people are using this as a humanitarian crisis, which it might be for the people in Gaza, but this is in any way, a fault of Israel whatsoever. And I think it's unfortunate that the leaders in Gaza, or Hamas at this point, who were voted 85% by the people in Gaza, have received way over $1 billion in aid from international aid and have used all that money for warfare and terrorism, and now are crying about electricity bills. It seems to be a little bit silly to me.
Okay, first of all, I'll give you something like breaking news. The first person I point the finger here towards is Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the PA.
Well, he asked
I
Israel to
think
stop.
it's shameful that the leader of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the president of the Palestinian people, is asking Israel not to give electricity to the 2.5 million Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip. I don't know, folks are not here in Israel, but right now in Israel and in Gaza, we're talking about around I'm lousy with Fahrenheit. It's like 100 Fahrenheit or something like that.
It's very hot. And
extremely hot.
It's beachfront.
Extremely hot. You have those 2.5 million people. Most of them are civilians. Most of them are not involved in any wrongdoing.
The majority voted for Hamas.
Perhaps they voted for them, but they're not involved. They are regular people. They voted for Hamas, by the way, in 2005 or something like that.
Hamas was still a terrorist organization back then.
Whatever. You have 2.5 million people there in this heat with no means of getting some relief from this crazy heat in hospitals, in everything. Only 4 hours in every day do they get electricity. So first of all, I think Mahmoud Abbas is doing a shameful thing here.
And yet he's a partner for peace. He's sacrificing his own people for politics and used to be a partner for peace.
Sadat, the leader of Egypt in the 70s, was a partner for peace, although he killed the biggest number of he gave it. But let's not talk about Abbas. I'm now blaming Abbas and you're trying to.
No, I'm saying if you're blaming Abbas, if you're
I'm blaming
Abbas is an evil man.
I'm blaming him for
being
being cruel to his own people. But now I come to Israel. Instead of catching the moment and saying, look, Abbas, because of his own, by the way, political interests, it's not even about Hamas, it's about his rival within the PLO, Mohammed Dahlan.
Politics.
Exactly, politics. Because of his internal politics, he's willing to refrain. In that doing is at least cruel. But Israel, instead of catching the moment and saying, your leader doesn't want to give you electricity, we will not give in to this crazy, cruel request preventing 2.5 million people.
We forgave hundreds of millions of dollars.
They don't have any other means of getting electricity, so we have a responsibility too.
Excuse me.
And
Uri.
it's also, it wouldn't be wise in the PR level.
They have other ways to get electricity. They have Egypt, and they have a power plant in Gaza that's not working because Hamas doesn't want to pay the fuel bills. It's not true that
it's not enough for the whole Gaza Strip. It is working.
They have Egypt, and it's not working because they don't want to pay for fuel bills. Now, here's the problem, and this to me bothers me. I know it's not the same issue, but this to me bothers me. And I have compassion for other people. But, when someone comes along and says, oh, the settlements are costing so much money, and the Gaza situation is costing...
I'm glad you're not comparing.
I'm not at all. And the Gaza situation costs over $10 billion, and now you want to give them free electricity while we're talking about kicking Jews out of... To me, it seems hypocritical.
Israel could say, you could go to the UN, do stuff, saying, okay, please, we'll be happy to provide the electricity. But what Israel did is, okay, let's shut down.
No, we didn't shut down.
Let's shut down the electricity.
It's not shut down.
Of course we did.
It's not shut down. First we did is we forgave hundreds of millions of dollars to the people who are our enemies right now.
You are combining two different issues.
We forgave money. Number two, it's not completely shut down. We lowered
4 hours in 24 hours.
What happens in your house when you don't pay the bill?
2.5 million people.
What happens?
2.5 million people. You're willing in 100 Fahrenheit.
First of all, yes, if it's an enemy country of mine, but that's not the point.
Really, you're willing to punish 2.5 million people into suffering in this heat?
Not giving people.
That's inhumane. It's not Jewish.
No. Uri, again, if Iran had an electricity problem, do we have to support Iran with electricity? No. So again, the fact that they are Abbas, which you said is an evil man, and
You could have said,
1 second,
talk to the people. So this week, although Netanyahu, the prime minister, in order to appease his right-wing base, wanted to promote before the recess of Knesset the nation law. The legal advisor of the Knesset said you cannot do it in 2 weeks. This is too big of a law. The law basically defines Israel as a Jewish nation, but it also has some other ingredients that go against the self-definition of Israel so far. First of all, it says that Israel is first and foremost a Jewish state, and in other way it says it's also a democracy, but it's not as important.
What it says.
It's not as important. Let me finish. Not as important as its Jewish nature, the democratic part. Also, it downgrades the level of the Arabic language in Israel, although it was a full official language in Israel. It's another stage of the right-wing government going against the Israeli democracy.
Okay, so let me clarify a couple of points here. Again, what you're saying is false. It's just not true. Number one, it does not say that it downgrades the language at all. The Arabic will stay the official language of the state of Israel. It's just not true. What it says, the law says, is the state of Israel is the recognized state of the Jewish people, and the Jewish customs should be recognized in the state and kept. It does not downgrade anywhere. It doesn't mean you have freedom of religion.
Where does it say democracy?
1 second. It says it's the nation of the Jewish people that is run by a democratic government. That's the quote of the law.
No, it was taken off.
It's in another
paragraph.
It was said, originally the law says a Jewish democratic country, and they changed it to a
Why?
1 second.
Why?
Because Israel, by definition, is the Jewish country. It's the Jewish homeland. The fact that we have a government...
So democracy is not as important.
1 second. Again, if it's a democratic country and that's it, that's America. The specialty about Israel, which I think we both agree on, is that this is the Jewish homeland. That is first and foremost. But
when there is a competition between the Jewishness of the country and the democratic nature of the country, the democratic nature should prevel.
Who says that?
I said so.
I disagree with you.
I say so. Also, the forefathers of this country say so.
No, that's not true.
Herzl said so. Ben-Gurion said so.
Declaration of Independence says very specifically that the country should be run by the ruach, by the spirit of our prophets. That's it. And it was written by secular people.
But he talks about equality.
Absolutely.
He talks about...
Uri, that's why I'm saying it says Israel is the Jewish country that is governed by democracy.
Today,
it's part of the law.
After 70 years of democracy, your government is trying to...
Our government.
Your government.
It's part of your country.
Undermining Israel's democracy.
No, it's not.
On the one hand, it says we're the only democracy in the Middle East. On the other hand, it's downgrading the level of democracy in Israel.
This law
now officially, not only
like
laws.
Is this law stripping any rights of the Arabs?
Excuse me?
Is this law stripping any rights of the Arabs?
The law is it's a declaration of how this nationalistic, religious government
not nationalistic. It says the Jewish
sees the state of Israel,
nationalistic.
changes the state of Israel.
Where does it change? Give me an example. Does it
the downgrading of the democratic level. In all other basic laws, it says Jewish democratic.
Does it take away rights from the Arabs?
Again, it's a declaration.
No, it doesn't.
First of all, of the Arabic language.
It doesn't.
Second,
it's an official language of Israel.
It tells the Israeli courts that they have to consider the Jewish halacha in their ruling instead of.
It says the law and the courts.
This is whenever I say Iran, you don't like it.
No,
this is the direction.
You know this more than I do.
This is the direction your government is taking.
Mishpat Ivri, you know that the court books are written based on the Mishpat Ivri, the Hebrew guys.
No, they're based on law. On universal law.
1 second. Are you telling me that you don't know that in Israel the court system is based on the Jewish law?
I'm an LLM. I know No, it's not based on Jewish law. It's just not true.
It's not. So if I show you the
quote, go to law school. I went to the Hebrew University Law School.
If I show it to you, will you admit that you're wrong?
No, I won't because I have 2 law degrees. I know.
And if I showed you that you're wrong, would you admit that you're wrong?
I won't admit because you're wrong. Because I know the law very well.
So let me ask you again: is this law stripping the rights of Arabs at all?
First of all, when he gives, this is a declaration of how this nationalistic religious government sees the state of Israel.
Okay, I agree with you.
I
agree with you. It's stripping the rights of the Arabs.
The Jewish nationalistic part, religious part, is more important than the democracy.
I agree with you. It's stripping the rights of the Arabs.
It comes together with some other legislation that does hurt Arabs.
How?
And that does hurt does hurt the opposition to Netanyahu.
How?
And this is an Erdogan-like regime. You are getting from a government into a regime gradually.
I agree with you. How is it hurting the Arabs?
First of all, it downgrades the
language is not going to change from an official language of Israel.
It is.
Welcome back to Frenemies. This week there's a little bit of noise being made about the Arab city of Qalqilia, which is in Area C. Now, for those of you who are watching, I just want to explain to you what Area C is. During the Oslo Accords, the areas of Judea and Samaria, some called the West Bank, were split into 3 different areas. One is Area A, B, and C. Area A and B are fully in the Arab control. Area C is in Israeli control. Now, Qalqilia is in Area C. Now, according to Oslo, there were certain areas that Israel gave over to the PA, the Palestinian Authority, and Qalqilia is in that area. Now, what happened was the defense minister, Victor Lieberman, decided to give more area to them. Now, whether I agree with giving the area or not is totally irrelevant. According to law, there's
to give the area to extend.
Exactly.
Qalqilia has too many people. It needs to extend. There's natural growth.
To give more area now in Area C that's not built up to the PA. Now, whether I agree with giving them more land or not is totally irrelevant. The point is, he cannot do this on his own. There's a legal state agreement, and if he wants to change it, he can do that, but he's got to go to the Knesset to do that. He can't do it on his own. And that's the big argument right now.
If you go to the legal status of the Oslo Accord, the Oslo Accord, or the interim agreement, it's called officially, was signed in '95, in May '95,
right.
And it was supposed to end in May 1999. So right now, actually, the Oslo Accord is over.
It's not over.
It
at
is
all.
over. Listen, your government is using the Oslo Accord, which was an interim agreement that was supposed to end in a permanent status agreement.
Are you nullifying the Oslo Accords?
If I were the government, I would say definitely the Oslo Accord is irrelevant today.
But you signed it.
Irrelevant as an interim. I didn't sign anything.
You know what I mean?
Prime Minister Rabin,
left signed it.
who was assassinated by an opposition person a few months later because of disagreement from the Israeli right wing, and he's not. He is.
The hint is what the whole Israeli right wants to murder.
And ever since it wasn't the left wing who was when there was a left wing government, Barak tried to have a permanent status agreement, and then he was toppled. Right?
Okay.
So again,
that's all very nice. But it doesn't change the
Area
fact.
C, but just for our viewers to understand, in Area A is only the city borders of the Palestinian cities, and it's 40% of the West Bank. In Area C, which is 60% of the West Bank, you have around 300,000 people. In Area A, again, you have only the cities, islands of territories in which you have over 3 million people. And in Area C, 40% of the territory.
I don't know the numbers,
and
so I'm not going to argue about it.
60% of the land, you have almost only settlers living in, and 300,000 settlers. So 300,000 settlers get 60%, and almost over 3 million Palestinians get 40%.
Again,
so when they need to extend a bit the borders because of natural growth, you say no. Who does it? The right wing, ultra right wing Minister of Defense, Victor Lieberman.
Okay, so look, here's the thing. I'm not sure the numbers, so I'm not going to give you right or wrong. What I will say to you is the following. Again, that's all very nice what you said. In order for Victor Lieberman to change the status of that Area C, he's got to go to the government. He can't do it alone. Now, the fact of the matter is he wants to add, not for 3 million people, 16,000 units. The funny thing is they're freezing Jewish building, but they're building 16,000 units. Stop the freeze.
Till 2035.
Either stop the freeze or not.
Till 2035.
Stop the freeze.
I'm not a big fan of Lieberman.
I understand, but the point is if he wants to change it, whether I agree with it or not, and I might agree with it, say give them some more. You have to go to the government. You can't do it alone.
So you're assuming that Netanyahu the prime minister, the right-wing prime minister, is going against Israel's interest in this sense? Because
No, not at all.
Netanyahu
No, not
is
at
for
all.
that.
Not at all.
Netanyahu supports
I personally don't believe that we should be giving any more control to the PA in anywhere.
So why does Netanyahu do it?
Let me just finish the sentence and let me explain to you why. Because wherever the PA goes, they wreak havoc there. And it causes tremendous...
Okay, so I'll start with my opinion without filling in the information, and then I'll fill in the information. This week, we had the Israeli Prime Minister go to a new law of actually criticizing the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs for fighting an anti-Semitic campaign by the ultra-right-wing government in Hungary against George Soros. Why? Because he doesn't like George Soros. But the campaign there was almost an identical copy of the Elders of Zion.
Really?
Yeah.
What does it say?
The worst about Jews controlling money,
nothing
controlling
about
world
Jews.
economy.
The
A
billboards...
really anti-Semitic campaign.
goodness.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu,
Uri,
after
you see the billboard right there? It says, don't
the
give them
ministry
no
of,
Jew.
The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemned that, and Prime Minister Netanyahu said, no, we don't condemn it, we support it.
Okay, now from real news, that does not say Jew anywhere. That says don't give George Soros the last laugh. George Soros, as well as in Israel, is undermining democracies and putting his own politics involved. I just want to give you a couple of, talking about anti-Semitism. George Soros, he supports Adalah. Just for an example, Adalah, we're talking about somebody who wants to strip the country of Israel from its Jewish anything. He supports Al-Haq. Al-Haq, run by Shawan Jabrin, is not even allowed to go to America as a terrorist. That is who's George Soros. Do not make
George
his
Soros is one of the biggest supporters of whom? Democratic groups around the world.
Shawan Jabrin, let me read this. Executive director has been described by Israeli Supreme Court as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a human rights campaign by day and a terrorist by night. And among senior activists of the Popular Front of Liberation of Palestine, which is listed as a foreign terrorist organization by the U.S. Department. That who George Soros
I don't know who this person is and whether George Soros supports him or not.
Supports him 100%.
George Soros. To be honest, George Soros is not the issue here because he's not attacked.
Yes, it is.
He's not attacked in Hungary.
Yes, it is.
He's not attacked in Hungary because of his opinion on Israel. He's attacked on Hungary because of his control over money. So this is anti-Semitic. Like always, the anti-Semites accuse Jews for controlling the world economy.
That doesn't say money.
Definitely.
They're going against. He wanted free immigration to Hungary, and they don't want free immigration to Hungary.
Okay.
That's what they're going about. But it doesn't say Jew.
But they attack him.
It doesn't say Jew.
So why the Israeli ambassador to Hungary attacked this campaign for being anti-Semitic? Please tell me.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
1 second, Uri. And Bibi Netanyahu did not criticize that. He said George Soros, this criticism is fair. He's getting involved in other people's democracies.
The Israeli ambassador, who's a professional, he's not a politician. He's a professional diplomat.
Professional what? Diplomat?
So we're at the end of another heated and great show.
Fun show.
Here from heated Tel Aviv. All of yours, please share us on Facebook. Check us out on Facebook, both Mr. Eri Fold and myself, Uri Zaki, and of course, ILTV. See you next week.
See you next week, everyone.